Right, so in today's video, I want to look at this lawn. It's the start of March at the time of recording, and this isn't the best lawn in the world. It's not a prize lawn, it's not a lawn I take care of really that much. However, it's looking pretty decent for this time of year, and I've done almost nothing to it. When I say almost nothing, you know, last year I fed the space in sort of the autumn time. I did a small renovation where we scarified it, and it's looking really decent the way it is now. So why have I got lawns in the back garden that are struggling? And this time last year I died off almost completely. You know, you're talking, we had like 50% of the lawn left, whereas this, we have 100% coverage of lawn, and it's down to just nature doing its thing. If you get right over the top of a sward, it's the real test of its quality, and you can see there's a fairly decent density. Now, one thing I did make sure I didn't do was cut this very short in the late autumn, and even when it's had a cut in I think we cut this maybe back in the February time, we didn't take too much off, because the grass blade, it's a store of energy for the plants. If you start cutting off loads of the plants at this time of year, you're taking that store of energy away from it. Yeah, we have nice days like today when the sun's out and the temperatures are fairly decent, where you can be knocking about in a t-shirt, but it's not always the case. We are going to have colder spells and even possibly the odd frost this month, you know, weather dependent, and even into April it can be inconsistent. So we don't want to be cutting our grasses too short. We want to be just nicking the very tops off them. But if your lawn looks like this, what do you do? What do you actually do in March? And the simple answer to that question is you simply just give it a cut. When you cut your lawn, you're encouraging more growth. If you've got any kind of grass variety, it's going to send a signal to that plant to get it growing again. And because we've incorporated some fescue plants into this sward, it's going to mean that those creeping varieties are going to help to start to thicken up the sward. There's a few ways to thicken up a lawn. One of them is to overseed, and the other two are to just feed and cut the space. Every time we cut it, we're sending a signal to the plant to regrow and to generate more leaf. Those creeping varieties are going to spread, and the same thing happens when we feed it as well. The temperatures aren't great at the moment for seeding. I'd avoid seeding at all costs in March, because all you're going to do is end up with a bit of a mud bath once you've actually top dressed for longer than you need to. Just hang on until the temperatures are fairly decent before you do. You don't need to be getting on with loads of mad things or doing loads of mad things if your lawn doesn't need it. Every lawn's different. There is no one size fits all with lawn care, and this is completely testament to that. One of the reasons why we aerated the front grass is just to incorporate more air into there to allow that soil to dry out, because it doesn't have anywhere to go, the moisture, it doesn't have anywhere to drain off of the lawn. With this space, look at the angle of it. It drains down to where the bushes are over here. It's true that if we aerated it, we'd increase the microbial activity in the soil, we'd decompact it somewhat, but really you've got to go off the eye test sometimes. This lawn doesn't look bad, it looks amazing. Why would we do an extreme process to it if it really doesn't need it at this time of year? You've got to look at your lawn and think, what do I need to do? This is not a cookie cutter system of maintaining and managing a lawn. One way you can make a lawn better is by scarifying it. If you've got creeping varieties, if you scarify your lawn, it's going to increase that growth, and creeping grasses grow laterally, so that's going to then fill in those spaces. So you have a really short period where your lawn looks worse, but then over the long term, your lawn ends up looking better. However, if we were to scarify now, the temperatures really aren't there for this grass to fully recover, and we're then, you know, giving weeds more opportunity to take hold and weed grasses to do the same, and it's going to do more harm than good to the lawn. So as it's just March and we have those inconsistent temperatures, let's keep it simple. If your lawn's looking thin, give it a cut, give it a feed. This one seems to be growing fairly well at the moment, so simply in today's video, all we're going to do is give it a cut. I'll give it another week, we'll give it a feed then, but I think it's growing nice at the moment. It's got a nice colour across the entire space. But less of the waffling, let's get the mower, let's give this lawn its first cut of March. Now I've got to say, this is the best this lawn has looked at this time of year. Usually we've got a bit of a jungle in the past. It's looked a little bit like this, and we're going to be dealing with this space this year. You can see it was cut sort of late autumn, this part of this lawn, and it's in a bit of a sorry state, but this is kind of what this side looked like not too long ago, and there's a massive difference between the two. And there we go, you can see there, not looking too bad. There's the odd weed I noticed when I was cutting, but it blends in. It's a grass verge, we can't really see it from the house anyway. But one thing I do want to point out is just on this far side over here, that's a little bit of moss that you can see. Well, the problems with moss is that it spreads through spores, and obviously I've just got on the lawn with a rear roller on the mower, and what that can do is it can pick up some of the spores and spread it across the rest of the space. And the best way you can sort of tackle moss in your lawn is by getting on with a liquid iron application. So what I'll do in the next couple of days is I'll get on this lawn with an iron application, and it's a good time of year to be doing it now because the temperatures aren't too bad. What the iron will do is it'll just dehydrate the sward, but it'll also dehydrate that moss. It'll turn it black. It'll get rid of any of those spores that we spread, and it'll be inevitable that this moss will come back. But if we apply moss regularly enough, and often it's when you see signs of it, or if you've had quite a lot of rain and there's a lot of moisture in the sward, apply it then. It's not a case of put it down every single month or every few weeks, whatever it might be. You've got to just look at your lawn, you've got to document what you do, keep an eye on it, and just react to what it needs at that time. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, or at least found it useful to some degree. If you did, feel free to give it a like. And you know, if you've been around on this channel for a while, I've said this a lot of times now, but this lawn was in a bit of a state, and I'm no expert, and if I can get a really awful lawn looking as half decent as what this does, then literally anybody can do it. I've got lots of videos on my channel documenting the process this lawn's been through, and I've shown the progress from where it was to where it is today. So if you want to go back and check that back catalogue out, then go for it. If you like what you see and you want to follow along with more of these lawn care videos this year, then consider subscribing if you haven't already. And if you'd like to, you can follow my Instagram. The link is in the description below. Usually give you sort of inside scoops as to what I'm doing at that time, posting videos, updates of the lawns. And yeah, finally, thanks for watching.